Welcome to my YouTube channel. Today I have Seetal to discuss mental health, and we are talking specifically of anxiety and depression. Seetal, please can you introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So my name's Seetal. I am 32. I grew up in the Midlands, was born in London, and just had an average life, went to university, got a job, got married at 24, and now having experienced anxiety and depression and things, I'm a mental health advocate with an Instagram page where I basically share my experiences and learnings basically from my several years of having it.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, what is anxiety and depression to you, and how does it feel to you?
So, for me personally, because anxiety and depression is kind of like different for everyone, and it's obviously like it's got its general characteristics, which is how it's diagnosed, but it feels completely different to everyone, I think, and everyone's got a different situation. For me personally, like, anxiety feels like, just like it's extreme worry. It's like, your world's crashing down, you're like, it's pure dread, panic. It's like I would wake up with like palpitations every day and just like just be worried all the time. I wouldn't sleep, couldn't eat properly, like I just wasn't functioning like normal basically. I wasn't myself, and that then would lead to sort of panic attacks, and following that, coming down from that, like you then I've then fallen into sort of like depressive episodes where I felt really low mood. So that's kind of like the anxiety, panic and depression. And yeah, depression can really spiral downwards. So that's just my experience of how it is.
I honestly can't even imagine. Like you said, I just assume that like maybe anxiety people are more, they fully understand, but I guess everyone does it quite different, the way they go through it.
Yeah, definitely. As I say, like I think it's different for everyone, and like there's so many symptoms of anxiety and depression, and you could have any single multitude of them kind of thing, and I think, as I say, everyone's experience is different. But
And was it when did you started feeling that you did have anxiety, and was it at a young age or was it recently?
so I would say that I was always kind of like a bit of a perfectionist. I'd get quite stressed in situations where I wasn't doing my best. I was always sort of like a overachiever, and I wanted to be the best and perfect at everything. And I think went through university, burnt myself out in my final year of university trying to get a first in my degree, which I got, but just really burnt myself out doing it. And then I think after university started planning my wedding, and that was when I had my first panic attack, because I think it just was so stressful and overwhelming, as wedding planning is.
Yeah, of course, weddings are hard.
Yeah, no, exactly. And just trying to keep everyone happy and everything and stuff, it just got all on top of me. And I remember driving home from work one day, and it just felt like, as I say, it just felt like everything was crashing down over me, and like I was like crying, I was uncontrollably like shaking and everything. Thankfully I wasn't far from home, so I stopped and I was just on the driveway just sobbing and just like shaking, and just like I couldn't breathe. It just felt all consuming. So that was my first sort of taste of anxiety and panic and stuff, like when I was wedding planning, and then obviously got married and everything, and it was all fine. tried for probably about just over a year and a half or so. 2015, I remember. Basically, I was going through a really stressful period with work, and again just felt really overwhelmed by life, and I then was having really bad anxiety, and I wasn't sleeping very well, wasn't eating very well. I was just completely, it's more than stress, it's like I was dreading waking up every morning and going to work, and I was just, people could tell something was wrong with me, but I couldn't fully understand what was wrong with me. I couldn't understand why I was feeling this, and that was like proper anxiety at that point. And so then it got worse and worse and worse. I had to go abroad for a big meeting for work, which I completely felt out of my depth, and I didn't feel good enough to do it. I had a complete confidence crisis, but I went and I did it and came back, and then I crashed. And it was pretty bad, and I hadn't slept for 2 weeks straight. I hadn't eaten properly. I was just exhausted, and so went to the GP out of hours, and they gave me sleeping tablets so that I could sleep. So took the sleeping tablets, slept. Following day, I was just extremely depressed, and it just went from extreme anxiety, having panic attacks, to complete low. And it was like, complete helplessness, hopelessness, feeling completely worthless. And I had a loving husband, I had a family, but I just could not see light. And that was my first ever experience of depression, and it was horrific, and I wouldn't wish it upon anyone to feel that way. I felt like, basically, I felt like a burden on my husband, because he was the only one who I could really talk to, because he was there physically. He could see what was happening, and he was so worried about me. And he basically called my family to come visit me, because I was in such a bad state that day, and it just got worse and worse, and I just felt like, the world would be better off without me. It was just, it was just awful. And I can't really go into the detail of, what happened next and stuff, because it's just too unimaginable to think about. But I was basically in such a bad place, and I thought the world would be a better place without me. And that was my first experience of depression.
You know what, I'm so sorry to hear that, because I wouldn't have obviously known that. Like, I'm about to have some tears, but obviously I have to be strong, because I can't even imagine. But firstly, thank you so much for telling me what you really feel. And it feels like that you've kept it inside. You haven't told me for a long time, well, not only just me, other people. It's something that you've kept inside, and now finally you're ready to say. And you know what, I'm so proud of you that you're here today, which is amazing, but also you're here to share your journey and really what you feel on this. I would have thought, in terms of like the weddings, because I know weddings is hard work, so I just assume that that's something that a lot of people have, that it's hard work, but when it happens, like, you kind of get used to it. But from your side, it doesn't seem like it's just one thing. You've had lots of different things. It's been like a roller coaster, and the fact that how you getting through it is incredible. But again, I'm just so sorry to hear that. Like, I can't. But the fact that you're a type of person that you seem that you want to determination and never give up, which is the most important.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much hit rock bottom, and I didn't want to, like, I did give up on myself, and you know, I came back from that, and I think, yeah, that's, I don't ever want sympathy or anything like that. It's not about that. It's actually that I hit rock bottom and I came back, and I'm here now.
Yeah. So you should be proud of yourself. I know it's not easy because it's easy to say my side, but I'm saying it seems like it hasn't been easy, and for a long, long time, which is just, yeah, you should honestly deserve you're a very, very brave person, so honestly,
Thank you.
just thank you, yeah. So how have you learned to cope with your anxiety, and what things have helped for you to overcome it?
So I think after that first experience, and how extreme it was, I had no choice but to get help. You know, it was, as I say, rock bottom, and you know, I actually was in hospital after such, well, yeah, basically not wanting to be alive anymore, and so I came out and I saw a psychiatric specialist who basically told me to go to my GP and get signed off work. So I did that, and that was the hardest thing because he was actually really mean about it. I think there's this stigma around mental health, and he was just sort of like, you know, well, why is this happening? And I'm like, I was just really stressed out at work and all of this. I couldn't fully explain it.
Yeah.
And he was just like, yeah, but just because you're stressed out at work and you're doing loads of hours doesn't mean, you know, you do this kind of thing. And I'm like,
gosh, that's a shock. How could someone like that say that?
I don't know.
Yes,
And it was it was a GP as well, you know. So anyway, he signed me off for 2 weeks, and so that was fine. And I saw another GP during that time, and she basically diagnosed me with generalised anxiety disorder. Did a phased return to work. So in that time, I started on some antidepressant medication. I started counselling with a therapist. And yeah, basically it was just months of recovery to get me past what had happened to me, what I felt, coming to terms with it, understanding it, understanding myself a little bit more and what triggers me, and then, you know, going through coping mechanisms and everything. It was like a little bit of CBT. Yeah. Obviously, all the way I had, like, you know, I had my husband who's been so supportive. I've had my family who've also been really supportive. I couldn't really fully talk to my friends at first, but I slowly opened up to them as well. And, you know, I had a lot of support. And once I had that support system, we also moved because I felt quite isolated where we were living before. We didn't have any family or friends near us. So moving to London was probably the best choice for us, so that I could have that support system around me. And then, yeah, it's been years of basically medication counselling. And then more recently, sort of in the past year, I've been doing coaching, personal development coaching. And that's just really helped me to change my mindset and my behaviours and those unhelpful habits and ways of thinking that, you know, contribute to my anxiety.
Yeah.
And stuff. So yeah, it's been a long road. It's been a combination of a lot of different things that have helped me overcome it. But I'm feeling the best that I've ever felt now, and
that's so good to hear. And you know what? It just seems like you managed to try so many different opportunities. You never gave up. You never said, I'm going to try one thing. You tried all the different things, what would help you the most. And like you said, if you wouldn't have had the support from close family or friends, it would be very difficult.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, it's really good to think that you had that like before, and look at you now, you're feeling much better. So yeah, that's really good.
Definitely.
So what's really good that you've got very close friends and family, but a lot of people are unfortunate they don't have the support. What would you recommend and tell them that what they could do next time?
Yeah, I mean, I think even for me, having the support of my husband and my family, it still feels like a very lonely thing, and I can imagine people who don't have that, family support. And I think, what I would say to anyone who doesn't have that support around them is there's just so many groups you can reach out to. I mean, definitely Mind is a good charity to reach out to, and with a lot of support. There's the Samaritan's line as well if it gets really bad. There's always someone to talk to, and I definitely say that, in these situations, just there's no shame, there's no weakness in reaching out for that support externally. Sometimes it's easier to speak to people you don't know.
Yeah, no, thank you. That's so true. Like you said, there's a few things you can do. You should never not try it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to ask, how are you finding now, obviously, what's happened in terms of the COVID and lockdown? Has that really affected, or have you managed to get through it?
I mean, I think it's just, obviously it's been hard on everyone and everyone's had their own struggles with it. I think for me, I did relapse last year. It was hard because I was, working from home. I couldn't see the people in my support system. Like, I only had my husband again. And, so then I couldn't, see my family, see my friends, the people who, also helped me keep my sanity. And obviously working from home, you're even more isolated because then, you can't even talk to people at work that you see every day kind of thing. And I think, I became a workaholic. I was working so many hours, and again, I took on way too much because I was hiding away in my work. And I think, and working from home, you can do that kind of thing as well. Like, you can kind of not have that separation between home and work and home kind of thing, and you can just work all hours. And so that's basically what I did. And so again, I got really stressed, overwhelmed, and I wasn't talking to anyone about how much pressure I felt, and how awful I was starting to feel. Started, dreading work again. Every morning, I would dread just starting to work and stuff, and I got really bad anxiety again, had that confidence crisis, and ended up being signed off work for 2 weeks last July. And then went on holiday with my family, thankfully, in August, because we could, in Scotland, and that week was it just helped me through that immensely. And then I came back and my manager took work off my plate, reduced my workload to 2 projects instead of 3. I got more support, and I got through it. And then, I kind of, because I was doing the coaching as well, it just really helped me to set those boundaries for myself and, change my perspective on it, looking after myself first and more so, because I think that's really important, especially with anxiety and depression, is self-care.
100%, that comes first for everyone.
Exactly. I'm a huge advocate for it, and I think it's so important. So I started looking after myself more, started, really pushing back on things, and saying no more, and basically I'm here now in a much better place. So, and the third lockdown was kind of a blessing in disguise for me, because I was pregnant. So I just went into my little bubble, and it's just, I'm feeling really good now.
Oh, I'm so glad. Amazing, actually. I'm just like, honestly, the things that you tell, I'm learning as well, different things, and the fact that you always have a way to get through it, so you never give up, which is what I say to everyone else. So that's amazing. So it's great that you are in a great place now, which is amazing compared to before. And now I want to know how you've overcome so much, and so what advice would you tell other people? For example, it might be because of anxiety, depression, or it might be a bit of both.
Yeah, I mean, I think anxiety and depression kind of come a little bit hand in hand. But for anyone else who have experienced anxiety and depression, I think I would just sort of say that, you know, it's okay to not be okay. It doesn't define you. It doesn't mean you're weak. It doesn't mean that, you know, there's something wrong with you. It's your body telling you that something's not right. It's ringing the alarm bells, and it's something that you need to address. And the best way to do that is to reach out for support. And, you know, that's my first advice to anyone who has anxiety or experiencing depression, because I think just having someone to talk to, whether it be, you know, it doesn't necessarily have to be a counsellor or a professional. It could be, you know, as easy as talking to a friend who may understand, or, you know, family members, or, you know, whoever you feel comfortable talking to. And guaranteed, like, people closest to you or who see you all the time, even work colleagues, will notice that there's something not quite right with you. If you're really experiencing anxiety and depression, people will notice it, and they'll be like, are you okay? And the best response to that is to be honest and be like, actually no, this is how I'm feeling. And, you know, it takes a lot of courage, and it's not easy. And I give a lot of credit to people who, you know, reach out for help. I know firsthand it's really not easy, but it's the best thing you could do for yourself. And I think to manage it as well is just to, you know, keep up self-care. It's just so important to look after yourself, especially when you're feeling anxious and depressed. As I say, it's your body's way of telling you that there's something wrong. So, you know, it means you need a break. You need to, it's like, whoa, take a breath, take a moment, and, you know, do something to help yourself. We're all responsible for our own happiness and feelings, and I think, you know, people just need to realise that instead of, you know, saying it's external factors, look within and say, okay, you know, there is something that I need to change here. What do I need to do to help myself? Because as much as people can be there to support you, only you can change.
Absolutely.
Change it for yourself.
100%. But Seetal, I just wanted to say thank you so much. You honestly are an inspiration person, and the fact that you've actually shared your journey, and it's so personal. I understand that it's been hard to even tell people, but the fact you're here today, so I just want to say that honestly you're heartbreaking, I can understand, but like the fact that you're here now, and that it will help others as well.
Yeah, and I think that's my main message, you know. Firstly, thank you for having me on as well. Like, this is my first time that I've actually fully opened up about all of this and stuff. And there's a lot of people who don't know the full story and stuff. So yeah, I kind of wanted to do this, but it's mainly to share the message that, you know, you can hit rock bottom, you can have anxiety and depression, it does not define you, and you can come back from it, and you can be happy. You can live a happy life. All of these things are temporary, they're not forever, and, you know, life is worth living.
Do you know what, that is like the perfect last thing to say is positive, never giving up, saying to everyone that despite what you went through, and look at you now, and that's something we should tell everyone else. So honestly, thank you so much. It's been amazing to listen to your story.
Thank you.